Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. As we go to air tonight, those in Launceston are still on edge. Right now, the Tamar is reaching high tide, but the SES believes the worst could be behind us.
A stern warning for Launceston's river communities.
At this point in time, Tasmanians cannot become complacent.
Nervously waiting for what the coming days will bring.
We're not in the clear, but of course everyone is on standby and continues to do all the work that's required of them.
While we may have seen subsiding river levels in some catchments, others will see over coming hours and days still some major flooding. So we all need to be very careful.
With the deluge over, some expected showers could still wreak havoc.
Even a small amount of rain can increase the river levels and creek levels very, very quickly.
Floodwaters are expected to pose a threat for some time, taking several days before the water subsides. The SES say the situation is still very much in the operational phase.
It's anticipated that this phase will continue into the next couple of days, and I remind Tasmanians to go to Tas Alert. Some of those floodwaters are still making their way down through the catchments.
Significant flows into the Tamar still being impacted by tides.
Post high tide at 6 p.m. tonight, we will have really significant insight in regard to the how long this event will continue.
But it's expected it will be the last high tide that corresponds with significant flows into the river. Overnight, the situation as predicted.
There was potential for the peak to start to rise from 10 p.m. It was anticipated would start to subside just after 3 a.m. this morning.
That's despite Hasbun residents being told to prepare to evacuate about 8 p.m.
The situation evolved as per the intelligence from the Bureau, and it did not meet those definitive inundation levels of 2016.
But there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
At this point in time, there's nothing to indicate that that threat will actually come back to that area. However, once again, we need to be vigilant.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, Tasmanians are starting to pick up the pieces after the flood emergency hit its peak over the weekend. Those who leapt into action are being praised for their work, limiting damage and preventing tragedy.
They've worked tirelessly over the past days to keep Tasmanians safe. Authorities paying tribute to emergency services staff and volunteers.
These events can often be extraordinarily difficult for our community, but it does bring out the best in humanity as well.
SES volunteers giving 2,500 hours to the effort since storm clouds rolled in.
Their motivation is solely the support and protection of the Tasmanian community.
Record-breaking rainfall carving a path of destruction across the north and northwest. Poatina Road expected to be blocked for some time, with crews needing to shift tons of rock, trees and mud from a massive landslide that knocked out power to 10,000 properties on Friday. The Premier touring the damage on his first day back after a trade mission to Singapore. Receding floodwaters in Latrobe leaving a major mess to mop up.
Their lives are being disrupted severely, more than ever before, I would say, and our thoughts and our hearts go out to all of them.
53 homes, 18 businesses and 21 community facilities lost in the deluge, with no clear picture yet of how high the damage bill will run.
We are here to support you, we are with you, and we will stand by you as you lean into your recovery over the course of the next days, weeks and months.
The SES using helicopters to pinpoint damaged structures.
There's been over 500 different types of residences, and the number that have been impacted is still in the process of being affected.
This incident marks the first major test of the state's new Emergency Response Centre, a state-of-the-art flood early warning system going online just 3 weeks ago.
There's been a lot of work, and it's been proven and noted since 2016. The lessons learnt, the collaboration, the pre-warning, the pre-deployment, and then the actual clarity of roles between the various emergency services and the support of the community.
With hopes the course of recovery will run smooth. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
And the port of Devonport has been reopened to commercial shipping. Tasport says it's confident major obstacles have been removed from the channel. Survey work at the Spirit of Tasmania dock was undertaken this afternoon, with the ship's arrival scheduled for this evening, carrying cargo only. Vessels, including Sea Road ship, are required to depart on high tides. The port has been closed since Thursday morning. Traffic woes are set to ease on a prominent gateway to Launceston Airport. The completion of a multi-million-dollar dual-lane road at Western Junction is already helping vehicles flow freely, with visitors and the local freight sector reaping the benefit.
A rare show of bipartisanship, political differences put to one side to celebrate a vital cash injection.
The forecast, I think, is very positive for us to continue to see a strong working relationship with better and newer and more safe infrastructure around the state.
An aim to dial down delays in peak hour. Evandale Road's dual-lane upgrade is officially open for business.
A 19-month project to widen 1.9 kilometres of Evandale Road from 2 lanes to 4, stretching from the roundabout at Breadalbin to Launceston Airport entrance.
It's the main thoroughfare to Launceston Airport, which is bracing for a large increase in passenger numbers.
These growth predictions tell us that supportive infrastructure like this in and around the airport will only become even more critical.
Demand for upgrades became clear as the heavy vehicle presence skyrocketed in the industrial precinct.
You can see pedestrian cycleways, the central wire rope barrier to protect and virtually eliminate the risk of head-on collisions on a section of road which has been badly underdone in previous years.
This underground frog-friendly culvert, a unique touch to help ensure wildlife aren't disrupted.
Combating with the environment around climate change and endangered species. Everyone through society is becoming aware of that moving forward, which is very positive.
The building boom far from over. More funds to be poured into the bitumen, with the Commonwealth reiterating it will follow through on its election promises.
Including $540 million for roads and highways across the state, $35 million for TransLink and $60 million towards the runway at Hobart Airport.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The state opposition says too many students are still staying away from school despite COVID restrictions easing. Labor says students missed out on more than 66,000 school days in Term 1. And attendance rates are still not meeting pre-pandemic levels, calling for the government to do more to get children into class.
There are some good government initiatives, but we would encourage the government to work with families to understand the causes of non-attendance.
We support any way of engaging with parents and students to let them know that it's not only safe but highly recommended to come back to school.
The government says it's confident its investments into schools will help with attendance rates. Fairbrother Construction has won a prestigious prize at the Tasmanian Master Builders Award night for its part in the construction of the Launceston General Hospital's paediatric unit. The company's build of the Scottsdale Pool was also recognised. Voss Construction and Joinery won the coveted Unique Achievement in Construction prize for the MyState Bank Arena transformation. Hundreds of industry representatives attended the event, shining a light on the sector. Tasmania's role in one of the world's biggest sporting events begins tomorrow. Hobart hosting the West Indies, Ireland, Scotland and Zimbabwe in the first stage of the ICC T20 World Cup, beaming the city to millions across the globe. The West Indies among those putting in their final preparations at Kingston this afternoon. Conditions a little different to those they face in Kingston, Jamaica.
It's beautiful here. The only thing is that the sun is hiding these days here in Hobart, which has been covered for a while now.
6 matches will be played at Blunston Arena this week, with the venue to host more games later in the tournament. A Tasmanian father of 3 has detailed his harrowing experience of suffering a cardiac arrest during a flight home earlier this year. Coming face to face with the heroes which helped save his life for Restart a Heart Day, Andrew Hill is grateful for a second chance.
From feeling unwell when embarking to a rapid decline in his physical condition, it was a flight to Hobart Andrew Hill will never forget.
I heard them say, prepare the cabin for landing, we're going to descent, and I was unconscious. So that's the point. After that, 3 hours of my life left me.
Up in the air and suffering a serious cardiac arrest, nearby passenger and registered nurse Kathleen Eccles came to his aid.
Honour and a privilege to see Andrew home with his family, and it makes being a health professional, it's what I do and what we do.
Ultimately beginning the process that would save his life, assisted by the state's chief medical officer, who was also on board.
There were 13 shocks applied while we were in the air. A couple of times we did get circulation back, which was a good sign, and then unfortunately had to continue CPR and shock again.
The health experts now urging others to embrace the critical skills this Restart a Heart Day.
When you call 000 if somebody collapses in front of you, our life-saving 000 call takers will be able to provide you with instructions over the phone of exactly what to do.
Research shows that not all bystanders know what to do if someone is going into cardiac arrest, but they only need to follow 3 key steps. Call 000, begin CPR compressions and use a defibrillator if one is available.
Take action, step forward and help out. Call, push, shock.
Mr Hill defying the statistics with only 1 in 10 people surviving an out-of-hospital incident.
Care and attention that was provided and the speed that was given to me was really what enabled that to happen.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The Jack Jumpers season is alive and kicking after defeating Melbourne United by 10 points this afternoon to win their 3rd game in a row. A 42-point first half helping Tasmania build a strong lead, while a stingy defensive performance kept United to their lowest score of the year.
Finally finding form, the Jack Jumpers revival faced a tough test against Melbourne United.
In their win on Thursday, out for Kenyon, that's a big knockdown.
Their first quarter blues nowhere to be seen, swarming United in attack and defence to lead by 8 points at the first change.
Smallest man on the court with the offensive rebound.
Their grip on the game growing as the margin went beyond 10 points in the second.
Doyle stepping out, buries the deep one.
Melbourne landing late baskets, but they struggled in the field and from the line. Whatever Dean Vickerman said at half-time, however, changed their mindset. United moving to within 3 points early in the third.
In the start of the third quarter, Rajon Tucker bombs away.
But the Jack Jumpers weathered the storm and built the lead again. Matt Kenyon doing wonders at both ends.
There's no sign of panic from the Jack Jumpers. It's like no.
And one for Kenya.
Rashad Kelly and Milton Doyle made critical baskets early in the final term. Josh Majette stood tall in defence as Melbourne threw everything at them. He also helped seal the result.
Majette done such a good job to ice the game, and that will take care of it.
2 wins from 2, making it a road trip to remember for Tasmania.
I thought our defensive intensity was good for most of the game. We had a little spell there in the third quarter, but we made them make tough shots for most part of the night.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, veterans Peter Siddle and Jackson Bird have helped Tasmania gain the upper hand on day 1 of their Sheffield Shield clash against South Australia. Both took 4 wickets as the Tigers managed to dismiss the Redbacks for just 227. Tasmania now in a position to build a healthy lead on day 2.
Bowling first, Tasmania were looking for quick wickets on day 1. SA opener Henry Hunt the key target after his heroic dig against Victoria last week.
Oh, well bowled, he might be on his way. Oxenford nods his head and Henry Hunt is out. First wicket to fall.
Tim Payne taking the catch as Jackson Bird removed the rising star for just 13. Also teaming up to dismiss Jake Weatherald for 19. The bird was the word, as Travis Head also fell victim. He ended up with 4 wickets in a session.
Edge appeal, LBW shout given! On the stroke of lunch, Bird around the wicket.
The Redbacks highlights few and far between as they staggered to lunch. Jake Lehman and Alex Carey leading the fight back.
Lehman cuts and cuts well. That's bread and butter for Jake Lehman. If he's done that once, he's done it 1,000 times at first-class level.
Carey reached 25 before Peter Siddle knocked him over. The son of Buff, however, was frustrating Tasmania.
That one's pulled away. He's hit the pull shot well all day, and another boundary for Jake Lehman into the 70s now.
Peter Siddle eventually removing him for 73.
Oh. As he played on, he has. Unfortunately, Jake Lehman on his way.
Debutant Ben Magnetti adding late runs, plundering the Tigers' attack.
Goes hard and high, and I think he's hit another 6. He has.
Tasmania feeling his impact physically and on the scoreboard, but he was eventually out for 59. The Tigers in a position to make a strong chase tomorrow. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. 14 in Hobart today, and Launceston, Burnie and Devonport
Devonport all reached 16. Friendly beaches at 16 as well, 15 across Low Head, St Helens, Bushy Park and Strawn, 14 on Maria and Flinders Island and Lyowini reached 9. The satellite pictures show some cloud covering most of the state today. And further out, a thin frontal cloud band is approaching the state, with low-level cloud also covering Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia, and some cloud also developed about the Northern Territory and Queensland. Tomorrow, we see a high centre approaching the northwest of Tasmania, with a cold front also clearing the south and extending to a trough over the north, and a trough remains over New South Wales and Queensland. West to southwesterly winds of 10 to 20 knots, with swells reaching to 4 metres in the west and the south. A major flood warning remains in place for the Meander River, a moderate warning for the Macquarie and South Esk rivers, and a minor for the North Esk River. A possible morning shower in Hobart tomorrow, and an early shower or two, and 14 in Dover and Ouse. 18 in Launceston, mostly sunny, and 17 in Devonport, and a shower or two developing in Scottsdale. Partly cloudy in Burnie and Stanley, and a shower or two, and 15 in Strawn. A possible shower in St Helens, Swansea 14 and 15 and cloudy at Ross. And the UV sits at a moderate 6 across the state. Fine on Tuesday, apart from the chance of isolated morning showers in the north. Wednesday, fine apart from showers in the far southwest, mainly throughout the morning. And Thursday, light showers about the east during the day, developing in the northeast and then extending to the northwest during the afternoon, fine elsewhere. Across the country tomorrow, a shower or two in Brisbane, Sydney 19, partly cloudy in Melbourne, Alice Springs 33 and a possible shower or storm in Darwin. And right now in Hobart, it's mostly sunny, 14 in Launceston and 13 and sunny in Devonport. And Tom, hopefully that rain stays away for the cricket in Hobart tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly hope so, Vic. Hopefully it's some clear skies for the cricket down there. Now, before we leave you tonight, the already bursting river systems in Launceston contend with a high tide. A reminder to keep up to date on the TasAlerts website. A flood watch and act is also current for the Meander River at Carrick. And that's where we leave the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and have a great evening. Good night.